The People's Party for Freedom and Democracy kspɑrtɛi voor vrɛiɦɛit and Democratie is a conservative liberal political party in the Netherlands. The VVD supports private enterprise in the Netherlands and is an economically liberal party. After the fourth Balkenende cabinet was formed, the VVD was the second largest opposition party in the House of Representatives. During the Dutch general election of 2010, the VVD obtained the highest number of votes cast and came to occupy 31 of the 150 seats in the House of Representatives. The VVD was the senior party in a centre-right minority government coalition together with the Christian Democratic Appeal under the leadership of VVD party leader Mark Rutte. Rutte has been the leader of the VVD since the 31st of May 2006. The first Rutte cabinet's parliamentary majority was provided by Geert Wilders' anti-Islam, immigration, and EU Party for Freedom, but this majority became unstable when Wilders' party refused to support austerity measures in connection with the euro crisis. Therefore, elections for the House of Representatives were held on the 12th of September 2012. The VVD remained the largest party, with 41 seats. Since the 5th of November 2012, the VVD has been the senior partner in the second Rutte cabinet, a purple coalition with the Labour Party. History. The VVD was founded in 1948 as a continuation of the Freedom Party, which was a continuation of the interbellum Liberal State Party, which in turn was a continuation of Liberal Union. They were joined by the Comité Ud, a group of liberal members of the Labour Party, led by Peter Ud. The Liberals within the Labour Party were primarily members of the pre-war social liberal free-thinking Democratic League, who went on to join the Labour Party in the post-war During movement. They were unhappy with the social democratic orientation of the Labour Party. Between 1948 and 1952, the VVD took part in the broad cabinets led by the Labour Party Prime Minister Willem Drees. The party was a junior partner with only 8 seats to the Catholic People's Party and Labour Party, which both had around 30 seats. The party's leadership was in the hands of the respected former Labour Party member Ud. The Drees cabinet laid the foundation for the welfare state and decolonization of the Dutch East Indies. In the Dutch general election of 1952, the VVD gained 1 seat, but did not join the government. In the Dutch general election of 1956, they increased the total, receiving 13 seats, but were still kept out of government until the Dutch general election of 1959, which were held early because of cabinet crisis. This time they gained 19 seats and the party entered government alongside the Protestant Anti-Revolutionary Party, Christian Historical Union (CHU) and the Roman Catholic KVP. In 1963, Ud left politics, and was succeeded by the Minister of Home Affairs Edzo Toxopius. With the lead of Toxopius, VVD lost 3 seats in the 1963 elections, but remained in government. In 1962, a substantial group of disillusioned VVD members founded the Liberal Democratic Centre, which was intended to introduce a more 20th-century liberal direction pointing to the classical liberal VVD. In 1966, frustrated with the hopeless efforts, LDC members departed the VVD altogether and went on now to form an entirely political party, Democrats 66. In 1965, there also occurred a conflict between VVD ministers and the counterparts from KVP and UP in Cabinet Marinen. The cabinet fell and without elections it was replaced by the KVP-UP Labour Party cabinet under Kals, which itself also fell the next year. In the following 1967 elections, the VVD remained relatively stable and entered yet again the cabinet under Prime Prime Minister Peter Jong. During this period the VVD had loose ties with other liberal organizations and together they formed the neutral pillar. This included the liberal papers Nieuwe Rotterdamsche Courant and the Algemeen Handelsblad, the broadcaster VRO and the employers' organization VNO. 1971 to 1994. In the Dutch general election of 1971 the VVD lost one seat and the cabinet lost its majority. A cabinet was formed by the Christian Democratic parties, the VVD and the Labour Party offshoot Democratic Socialists 70. This cabinet fell after a few months. Meanwhile, the charismatic young MP Hans Wiegel had attracted considerable attention. He became the new leader of the VVD. In 1971 he became the new parliamentary group leader, and in 1972 he was appointed Lijsttrekker. With Wiegel the VVD oriented towards a new political course, reforming the welfare state, cutting taxes etc. Wiegel did not shrink from conflict with the Labour Party and the trade unions. With this new course came a new electorate, working-class and middle-class voters, who because of individualization and depillarization were more easy to attract. The course proved to be profitable. In the heavily polarized Dutch general election of 1972 the VVD gained 6 seats. The VVD was kept out of government by the Social Democratic Christian Democratic cabinet led by DUIL. Although the ties between the VVD and other organizations within the neutral pillar became ever looser, the number of neutral organizations friendly to the VVD expanded. The TROS and later Veronica, new broadcasters which entered the Netherlands public broadcasting, were friendly to the VVD. In 1977 the VVD again won 6 seats, bringing its total to 28 seats. When lengthy formation talks between the Social Democrats and Christian Democrats eventually led to a final break between the two parties, the VVD formed cabinet with the Christian Democratic appeal, with a majority of only 2 seats. In the Dutch general election of 1981 the VVD lost 2 seats and its partner the CDA lost even more. The cabinet was without a majority and a CDA Labour Party D66 cabinet was formed, falling after only a few months. In 1982, Hans Wiegel left Parliament to become Queen's Commissioner in Friesland and was succeeded by Ed Nijpels. In the Dutch general election of 1982 Nijpels' VVD won 10 seats, bringing its total up to 36. It entered again cabinet with the CDA under CDA leader Ruud Lubbers. The cabinet began a program of radical reform to the welfare state, which is still in place today. The VVD lost 9 seats in the 1986 elections, but the cabinet nonetheless retained its majority. The losses were blamed on Nijpels, who stood down as leader of the VVD. He was succeeded by Joris voːr. In 1989 the CDA-VVD cabinet fell over a minor point. In the subsequent elections the VVD lost 5 seats, leaving only 22. The VVD was kept out of government. voːr was replaced by the charismatic intellectual Frits Bolkestein. 1994 President Bolkestein's VVD was one of the winners of the Dutch general election of 1994. They won 9 seats. It formed an unprecedented government with the Labour Party and the Social Liberal Democrats 66. The so-called Purple Cabinet, led by Wim Kok, was the first Dutch government without any confessional parties since 1918. Like many of his predecessors, the VVD leader Bolkestein remained in parliament. His political style was characterized by some as opposition to one's own government. This style was very successful and the VVD won 7 seats in the 1998 elections, becoming the second largest party in parliament with 38 seats. The VVD formed a second purple cabinet with the Labour Party and D66. Bolkestein left Dutch politics in 1999 to become European Commissioner. He was replaced by the more technocratic and social liberal Hans Dijkstal. In the heavily polarized Dutch general election of 2002, dominated by the rise and murder of Pim Fortuyn, the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy lost 14 seats, leaving only 24. The People's Party for Freedom and Democracy nonetheless entered a cabinet with the Christian Democratic appeal and the Pim Fortuyn list. Dijkstal stood down, and was replaced by the popular former Minister of Finance Gerrit Zalm. After a few months, Zalm pulled the plug on the first Balkenende cabinet. After infighting between Pim Fortuyn list ministers Eduard Bomhoff and Herman Heinz Broek, in the Dutch general election of 2003, the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy with Gerrit Zalm as lijsttrekker gained 4 seats, making a total of 28. The party had expected to do much better, having adopted most of Fortuyn's proposals on immigration and integration. The People's Party for Freedom and Democracy unwillingly entered the second Balkenende cabinet, with Zalm returning as Minister of Finance and as Deputy Prime Minister. On the 2nd of September 2004, Geert Wilders, a member of the House of Representatives, left the party after a dispute with parliamentary leader Van Aertsen. He has chosen to continue as an independent and a member of the House of Representatives. On the 27th of November 2004, Gerrit Zalm was replaced as leader by the parliamentary leader of the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy in the House of Representatives of the Netherlands, Josias Van Aertsen. In 2006, the party lost a considerable number of seats in the municipal elections, prompting parliamentary leader Josias Van Aertsen to step down. Willebroed van Beek was subsequently appointed parliamentary leader ad interim. In the subsequent party leadership runoff, Mark Rutte was elected as the leader, beating Rita Verdonk and Jeleke Veenendaal. The Dutch general election of 2006 did not start off well for the VVD. Top candidate Mark Rutte was criticized by his own parliamentary party for being invisible in the campaign, and he was unable to break the attention away from the duel between current Christian Democratic Prime Minister Jan-Peter Balkenende and Wouter Bos of the Labour Party. However, the VVD's campaign started relatively late. The election polls showed losses for the VVD. The former VVD Deputy Prime Minister Hans Wiegel blamed a poor VVD campaign for this, caused by the heavily contested VVD leadership runoff between Mark Rutte and Rita Verdonk earlier in the year. Verdonk had her eyes on the deputy minister post, while cabinet posts are normally decided upon by the political leader of the VVD. On election day, the party received enough votes for 22 seats, a loss of 6 seats. When the official election results were announced on Monday, the 27th of November 2006, preferential votes became known as well, showing that the second candidate on the list, Rita Verdonk, obtained more votes than the VVD's top candidate, Mark Rutte. Rutte received 553,200 votes, Verdonk 620,555. This led Verdonk to call for a party commission that would investigate the party leadership position. As a consequence of the situation of her obtaining more votes in the general election than Rutte, creating a shortly lived crisis in the party. A crisis was averted when Rutte called for an ultimatum on his leadership, which Verdonk had reconciled to, by rejecting her proposal for a party commission. During 2007, signs of VVD infighting continued to play in the media. In June 2007, the former VVD Minister Dekker presented a report on the previous elections, showing that the VVD lacked clear leadership roles. However, the report did not single out individuals for blame for the party's losses. After Verdonk renewed her criticism of the party in September 2007, she was expelled from the parliamentary faction, and subsequently relinquished her membership of the party after reconciliation attempts proved futile. Verdonk started her own political movement, Proud of the Netherlands. Subsequently, in opinion polls held after Verdonk's exit, the VVD is set to lose close to 10 parliamentary seats in the next elections. Jan van Zanen, chairman of the VVD's party board, announced in November 2007 that he would step down in May 2008, a year before his term would end. The rest of the board also announced that they would step down. On the same day of his announcement, honorary member Hans Wiegel called for the resignation of the board, because it could not keep Verdonk in the party. Wiegel also opinioned that the VVD should become part of a larger liberal movement that would encompass the Social Liberals Democrats 66, the Party for Freedom of Geert Wilders and Rita Verdonk's Proud of the Netherlands movement, although he found little resonance for this ideas from others. In 2008, the VVD chose a new party chairman, Ivo Opstelten, the outgoing mayor of Rotterdam. Mark Rutte announced at the celebration of the party's 6th decennial that he would rewrite the foundational program of the party that was enacted in the early 1980s, and offered the new principles for consideration to the party's members in the Fall Congress. After the Dutch general election of 2010, the VVD became the largest party with 31 seats and was the senior party in a centre-right minority first Rutte cabinet with the Christian Democratic appeal supported by the Party for Freedom of Geert Wilders to obtain a majority. Rutte was sworn in as Prime Minister on the 21st of October 2010, becoming both the first VVD Prime Minister and the first Liberal to hold the post in 92 years. However, on the 21st of April 2012, after failed negotiations with the Party for Freedom on renewed budget cuts, the government became unstable and Mark Rutte deemed it likely that new elections would be held in 2012. On election day, the 12th of September 2012, the VVD became once more the biggest party within Dutch Parliament, winning 41 seats, a gain of 10 seats. Mark Rutte seems to be, in September 2012, the only European political leader who hasn't been voted out of office by the electorate during the Euro crisis. Name: the VVD was originally a merger of the Party of Freedom and Free-Thinking Democratic Dissenters within the Labour Party. In this name, both tendencies, classical liberalism and social liberalism, are represented. Despite being a liberal party, the VVD did not openly call itself liberal, mainly because of the still lingering negative connotations of liberalism developed during the Great Depression and Second World War. The most common English translation of the name is the literal translation, ideology and issues. The VVD is a party founded on liberal philosophy, traditionally being the most ardent supporter of free markets of all Dutch political parties, promoting political, economic liberalism, classical liberalism, cultural liberalism, but also committed to the idea of the welfare state. Post-1971, the party became more populist, although some conservative liberal elements remain. The 2006 leadership election was interpreted by many as a conflict between a liberal group and a conservative group within the VVD, with the distinctly liberal Rutte beating conservative Verdonk. The results were, with 52% voting for Rutte and 46% for Verdonk. Liberal Manifesto. The principles of the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy are outlined in the Liberal Manifesto and the election programs. The Liberal Manifesto is a general outlook on the direction of the party would like to mirror itself and is an expansion of the party's foundational principles. The election programs are more oriented to practical politics, for example, winning the elections on the day and by any means possible. The last Liberal Manifesto of the VVD was published in September 2005. It develops a broad outline around the themes of democracy, security, freedom and citizenship, along with a vision of the future of party's internal structure. Below some of the points from the manifesto are presented. Democracy. The manifesto calls for a directly elected minister-president, whereby voters can show the preference on the ballot. The question of referendums is left open as a possibility. Mayors should be directly elected by the people. Commitment to the four freedoms of the European Union. Security. A common policy on defense and security in the European Union is called for. Freedom. The principle of non-discrimination should be given more importance than the exercise of religion. Social rights to be continued. These are not simple rights, but they also create obligations. Euthanasia is part of a person's right to self-determination. Commitment to an open economy, with a regulated free market, including patents. Support for the freedom of contract. No right for workers to enter into nationally binding collective bargaining agreements. Citizenship. Minimize the option of dual citizenship. Social security should only be fully open for Dutch nationals. Migrants will have to integrate in order to become citizens. Electoral results. Parliament. European Parliament representation. Members of the Cabinet. The members of the Second Rudd Cabinet. Members of the House of Representatives. Current members of the House of Representatives since the general election of 2012. Members of the Senate. Current members of the Senate since the election of 2015. Seats in the Senate. Members of the European Parliament. Current members of the European Parliament since the election of 2014. Hans van Baalen, parliamentary leader. Jan Huitema, Cora van Nieuwenhuizen. Seats in the European Parliament. 1979. 4 VVD MEPs are part of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe Party and Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe group in the European Parliament. Municipal and provincial government. The VVD provides 4 of 12 King's Commissioners. The VVD is part of every college of the provincial executives gedeputeerd staten except for Friesland. In the following figure one can see the election results of the provincial election of 2003, 2007, 2011 and 2015 per province. It shows the areas where the VVD is strong, namely the Randstad urban area that consists out of the provinces North and South Holland, Utrecht and Flevoland. The party is weak in peripheral provinces like Friesland, Overijssel, Zeeland and Limburg. Municipal government. 109 of the 414 Dutch mayors are member of the VVD. Furthermore, the party has about 250 aldermen and 1,100 members of municipal councils. Electorate. Historically, the VVD electorate consisted mainly of secular middle-class and upper-class voters, with a strong support from entrepreneurs. Under the leadership of Weigel, the VVD started to expand its appeal to working-class voters. Organization. Leadership. Current party board. Organizational structure. The highest organ of the VVD is the General Assembly, in which all members present have a single vote. It convenes usually twice every year. It appoints the party board and decides on the party program. The order of the first chamber, second chamber and European Parliament candidates list is decided by a referendum under all members voting by internet, phone or mail. If contested, the lijsttrekker of a candidates lists is appointed in a separate referendum in advance. Since 2002, the General Assembly can call for a referendum on other subjects too. The present chairman of the board was elected this way. About 90 members elected by the members in meetings of the regional branches form the party council, which advises the party board in the months that the General Assembly does not convene. This is important forum within the party. The party board handles the daily affairs of the party. Linked organizations. The independent youth organization that has a partnership agreement with the VVD is the youth organization Freedom and Democracy, which is a member of the liberal youth movement of the European Union and the International Federation of Liberal and Radical Youth. The education institute of the VVD is the Higher Van Someren Foundation. The Scientific Institute Elders Foundation publishes the magazine Liberale Revue every 2 months. The party published the magazine Libre bi-monthly. International organizations. The VVD is a member of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe Party and Liberal International. Relationships to other parties. The VVD has always been a very independent party. The VVD cooperates on the European and the international level with the Social Liberal Democrat in '66. It has a long history of coalitions with the Christian Democratic Appeal and its Christian Democratic predecessors, but was in government with the Social Democratic Labour Party from 1994 to 2002 and again since 2012. The VVD participates in the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy, a democracy assistance organization of 7 Dutch political parties.